Dive deeper in the bath bomb making journey and gain the knowledge you need for competing in today's market. Discovering how to create advanced designs using much more challenging molds, how to foam your bath bombs, how to bind bath bombs together, frosting, and more. Gain a new edge in bath bomb making and learn about the different techniques that will help you elevate your bath products, both in personal gift making as well as on a commercial level. This course is a follow-up of the basic bath bomb making, where we learn about the origins of the bath bomb, the types of bath bombs, what are classic bath bombs, breaking ingredients down, humidity and environment, what colorants are available, and how to use them, classify our bath bombs based on textures, how moisture affects our bath bombs, and more. If you find yourself directly on this course, I do highly recommend you check the previous one, where we scratch the surface of the bath bombs. You can find the course here. It will only take 20 minutes of your time, and it will serve as a stepping stone to what we are going to learn here. We are going to learn about mold expansion and different types of molds we can use, touch base on foaming and understand the surfactants, single versus multicolored bath bombs, ways you can decorate your bath bombs, how to create pools, breathe life into your unfortunate creations, learn about buoyancy, and how it affects your bath bombs. In previous videos, we've had a look at the classic molds for bath bombs, and we've touched a lot of the basics. However, in this series, we will go deeper and apply everything we've looked at previously to create bath bombs with more challenging shapes using various other types of molds. Traditional aluminum alloy molds are the standard in bath bomb making, although over time they will get warped and bendy. Aluminum is a light metal, so it is prone to bending. However, you don't need to replace them or throw them away. We can use this to our advantage. After you have made at least 20 bath bombs with a mold, the aluminum mold will slightly deform and will not be perfectly round anymore, which means that air will be able to sneak in and help you unmold your bath bombs much faster and much easier. So let's begin with plastic. Making bath bombs in plastic molds is a bit more challenging, as we have a variety of different shapes at our disposal. This, however, goes beyond the traditional sphere mold, as there are other narrow places that our bath bomb mix needs to reach. When our mix isn't right, it is easy to spoil a bath bomb, especially if our mix doesn't get firm in the end. Ultimately, the air has a harder time to get inside the mold, so it is more difficult to unmold different shapes. Plastic molds are all around us. We can find them anywhere, from children, toys, sand toys, packaging, or pretty much anything that can be filled and take shape. Unmolding from a plastic mold takes a lot more patience, and a bit more strength is required. Poking a small hole inside a mold or gently pressing on the outside can make this task a bit easy. However, if this is not possible, and the plastic mold is thick, a gentle tap on the outer shell may be required. Now let's do a bath bomb in a plastic mold. We will start with our basic mixture of 100 grams of sodium bicarbonate and 50 grams of citric acid. Measure the ingredients and add them in a mixing bowl. We will mix red and blue liquid colorant and add our wet mix over it for the color to start blending. Now we will give it a nice stir, breaking all the crumbs, and we will add a bit more red in order to brighten up the purple. Followed by more wet mix. Keep working the mix well to even out the colors. Keep adding wet mix until the consistency is right. Now let's grab a plastic mold. In our case, this will be a fish mold. Add the mix into the weak parts of the mold, the ones with the small details such as corners, hands, tail, etc. This will ensure that these weak parts will sustain the pressure. Don't worry if the mix will crack in the middle. The cracks will disappear during the hardening process due to the expansion of the mix. Keep adding and applying pressure so that these weak points feel harder and the amount of mix is compressed well. Leave the main part of the mold to last, filling it up with the excess from the small parts. Now that the small parts of the mold have been done, add the mix to the main part. Brush the excess off to help with the airflow, and leave the mix to harden for at least 3 hours. It's been almost 4 hours since we left our mix to harden. Now let's slowly push the weak parts of the mold, and slowly pull apart the mold so that the air can go in. And there we have it. Our fish bath bomb is ready with all the details of the mold intact. The other type of molds are made of hard metal. Hard metal molds come from a variety of backgrounds, especially in the kitchen. The most common metal molds you will find are baking molds. These molds are generally made of cast iron, and in order for the bath bomb to take shape, we need to squeeze in a lot more mix and do it in layers. However, in order to unmold it, we need a firm bath bomb mix. As this is metal, is it impossible for us to poke holes and gently press on the outside, so we need to make sure that the bath bomb inside the mold is nice and hard. Then, we can gently tap on the outside using a mallet or something similar to cause vibrations for the bath bomb to come out. Generally, bath bombs made in this way are not able to float due to the quantity of mix required. However, they provide excellent details and are visually very attractive. So we will start with our dry mix, making multiple batches of 100 grams of sodium bicarbonate and 50 grams of citric acid. Blend the sodium bicarbonate and the citric acid well before adding the rest of the ingredients. We will use our wet mix, together with few drops of blue liquid colorant, followed by yellow, and this will give us a bright green. If you would like to make the color brighter, simply add more yellow to darken it, add blue to increase the contrast, add more wet mix. The color will also become stronger if you pour the wet mix directly onto the liquid colorant. Mix the ingredients well, break all the crumbs, check the consistency, and pour down the first layer of the bath bomb in a cast iron tray. Even out the mix by shaking the tray, and let's make another batch. This time we will go for 200 grams of sodium bicarbonate and 100 grams of citric acid. Let's mix the dry ingredients well, try to break all the crumbs, and add a bit of yellow liquid colorant. Now let's give it a nice stir and check the consistency. Our consistency is perfect. Now let's add some red and darken the yellow a bit. Mix the color well and work in the yellow until the dry mix becomes a bit darker in color. Now let's check the consistency. Our consistency looks fine. Now let's bring back our tray and add in the yellow. But first, let's gently press down the first layer of green, trying to reach in all corners. Now let's add the yellow equally as a second layer. Gently press down the yellow to bind with the green. And leave the tray aside. We saved a little bit of the yellow, and we will add 1 tablespoon of sodium bicarbonate and 50 grams of citric acid, followed by blue liquid colorant. And now let's mix well, and give it a teal color. Now we will add a few gold sprinkles, check the consistency, and evenly distribute the mix in our tray, gently pressing down to create a third layer. Set the tray aside, and let's work on our fourth layer. We will mix blue and red together and make a nice purple. However, in this layer, to make things a bit more interesting, we will add a little Dead Sea salt. Now repeat the process of layering, gently pressing down onto the third layer. And for our last layer, we will make it a red to even out the remaining spaces. Let's grab a brush and take the excess off to ensure a good airflow, and store the mold away for around 48 hours. Now that we are back after 48 hours to unmold our trains, we will start by covering the hard metal mold with a towel or a thick cloth so we don't cause any dents. Let's tap the mold using the back of the knife, a mallet, or something hard in order to cause vibration. And there we have it. Out of 6 trains, 2 failed. The last type of molds we will be looking at are silicone molds. Silicone molds are the most challenging molds to make bath bombs in. Making bath bombs in silicone molds is very tricky, and it poses a challenge every time, mainly because if you try to squeeze too much mix in the mold will be distorted. So whatever shape you are trying to achieve will take additional shapes. Unmolding bath bombs is easy with silicone due to the fact that it can stretch and air can come in. In fact, too easy to take out, so much so that we need to make sure that our bath bomb can pick up as much detail as possible. Making bath bombs using unusual molds will always give you an edge in competition. Let's have a look at making a bath bomb in a silicone mold. We start by using our standard 100 grams of sodium bicarbonate and 50 grams of citric acid measurement. Add the dry mix in a bowl and start mixing the two together prior to adding any liquids. Now we will start by adding some blue liquid colorant and incorporate the color into the dry mix. As we can see, our mix is dry, and we need to add more binding agent to the mix. Instead of using our wet mix, we will add the ingredients separate. We will start by adding 1 tablespoon of witch hazel to bring the color to life, followed by half a tablespoon of apricot kernel oil. Now we will mix the oil in and check the consistency. Our consistency is just right, so now we will push our mix to the side and bring our silicone mold in. Now for our bath bomb, we will use this angel silicone mold. Start by adding the mix in layers, little by little, gently pushing with 2 fingers in all the hard-to-reach areas of the mold. Continue to build up to the top of mold by adding layers and layers of mix, while gently pressing on all sides. Now that we reached the top of the mold, most likely we have distorted our mold with the pressure applied. To revert our mold back to normal, gently press inward on all sides of the mold. In this way, the air will come to speed up the hardening process. Now, gently press on the top to reshape the bath bomb to the shape of the mold and let it harden for 2 to 3 hours. After 3 hours, our bath bomb is now ready, so let's start the unmolding process. Start by slowly stretching the silicone mold so that the air can come in and help us get the bath bomb out. Now we will gently push the back of the mold while stretching the mold sides. In this way, the mold and the air will do all the hard work. And there we go. We now have a healthy angel-looking bath bomb ready to color our bath water. Foaming gives your bath bombs the ability to put up a show, and it will make your bath bombs stand out a lot. However, there is one disadvantage, and that is that people with sensitive skins can be affected by the foaming in different ways. We first need to understand where does the foaming come from, how we can achieve it, and how we can control it. This is not a chemistry lesson, but we need to know a few things to help us understand foaming better. Foaming comes from mixing a surfactant with our regular sodium bicarbonate and citric acid. The word surfactant means surface, active, agent, and there are 4 different types of surfactants: anionic, non-ionic, cationic, and amphoteric. Anionic surfactants work best to remove dirt and oil, and they can be produced from a range of raw fats and oils, coconut, palm, and even tallow. The most popular type of anionic surfactant is sodium lauryl sulfate, SLS, commonly used in laundry detergents, household cleaning products, hand washes, shampoos, and so on. The second most popular one, and a lot more mild, is sodium lauryl sulfate, SLEs. This is the type that we will find a lot in high street shops' bath products, largely being used in bath bombs, body washes, mild soaps, shampoos, etc. The other type of surfactants in popularity are non-ionic. These types of surfactants are less stronger than anionic and best used for sensitive skins. As they are less likely to cause skin irritations, they also produce less foam. The most popular ones are polysorbates, cocamide, cocamide MeA, and cocamide DEA. Then we have cationic surfactants, which are commonly found in fabric softeners and disinfectants. These are less likely to find them in household products, but cationic surfactants are more effective at killing microorganisms, and so are used as disinfectants and strong cleaning products. In detergents, cationic surfactants enhance the action of anionic surfactants by reducing the surface tension between dirt and water, making them particularly suitable for removing grease stains. Examples of cationic surfactants are benzalkonium chloride and cetylpyridinium chloride. Amphoteric surfactants are most commonly found in shampoos and body washes. These are the least potent surfactants and are found in personal care products designed for sensitive skin as well as babies. Amphoterics are so mild that baby shampoos often consist entirely of them. They are also good foaming agents, so are also used in hand washes. Some examples are lauryl betaine, cocobetaine, and cocamidopropyl. Surfactants are a major chapter, and it is impossible to cover all of it in the tutorial. This is not a chemistry lesson. We only need to know enough to know which to choose and which to avoid. Now that we have covered surfactants, and we have an idea of what they are, let's add them to our bath bombs. In order to cause a good amount of foam in our bath bombs, we need to use an anionic surfactant. And so we will start making a bath bomb with the most common surfactant on the market today, sodium lauryl sulfate. We have here 100 grams of sodium bicarbonate with 50 grams of citric acid dry mix, and we will give this a good stir. Here in this bag we have ground sodium lauryl sulfate. If you can't find the powder form, you can make it yourself by adding the noodles into a coffee grinder. However, stay away from the dust. Do it over the extraction fan or outdoors. I will add half a tablespoon of sodium lauryl sulfate onto the mix. While wearing a mask, give the mix a good stir and incorporate the surfactant into the bath bomb mix. The mix will start to feel powdery. This is a good sign. Now we will add a few drops of blue liquid colorant and color our mix. And we will add a little of our mix, just how it is, into a separate container. With the remaining mix, we will turn it into a green. Start by adding a few drops of yellow and carry on mixing. Still not happy with the color, so I will add a bit more yellow. Now we will need to add our binding agent, and so we will add a few drops of witch hazel. We will also bring our color to life and make it really bright. In order for this to happen, our mix has to be a little imbalanced. In order to fix our mix and bring it back, we will add a bit more sodium bicarbonate and citric acid on a 2-to-1 ratio. Now that is a lovely green. The mix being too wet has allowed the color to really stand out. Great. Now that our consistency is right, it is time to create our bath bomb. We will start by mixing the two colors together in the half molds. The green mix will hydrate the blue mix. And there we have it. Our bath bomb releases nice vivid colors as well as foams really well, without leaving any residue behind. Single-colored bath bombs usually resemble a more natural approach. Mainly because of the lack of colors and surfactants, they also turn the water into a single color. The main benefits in single-colored bath bombs are the skin-beneficial ingredients that they are loaded with. A lot of these ingredients involve essential oils, carrier oils, natural butters, minerals, and herbs or flowers. Single-colored bath bombs are usually preferred by people with sensitive skin conditions, parents for their children, and elderly people, especially for their lack of surfactants and harsh ingredients. However, on the other side, we have multicolored bath bombs, which are very stylish, as opposed to single-colored ones. These offer an array of colors inside the bathtub, and usually put up a show due to the surfactant added. The color blend has to be chosen carefully though, otherwise the water will look dirty once the colors blend with each other. In addition to the colors, multicolored bath bombs come with a variety of other ingredients. These include toys, sugarcraft items, perfumes, glitters, and various other decorations. Multicolored bath bombs are eye-catchy and are usually tailored for teenagers and people who look to indulge themselves and make bath time more exciting with various different ingredients. Multicolored bath bombs are usually found in occasional gifts. Now let's look at making a multicolored bath bomb. So we have here 100 grams of sodium bicarbonate and 50 grams of citric acid, combined with some leftover blue mix. And I would like to turn this blue and white into a green. We will add a little amount of wet mix, followed by a few drops of yellow liquid colorant, and give it a nice stir. Now we will grab half a standard bath bomb mold and layer the green around, gently pressing it down. And now repeat the process onto the second half. We will leave these two aside and continue to further tint our mix with a bit of blue to give us a deeper green. Repeat the same procedure, layering the different colors inside the mold for both halves, and leave them aside. Now, to darken our mix, we will add a little bit of red and follow the same method. We will also add a few Dead Sea minerals to make the design a bit more interesting. For our last color, we will make a small dry mix. Bath bombs can be decorated in many ways, beyond the traditional mixing of colors and added ingredients. One way of decorating is by actually applying paint to the bath bombs, using mica, and even liquid coloring. This is similar to painting eggs for Easter in several countries. Painting your bath bombs requires quite a lot of work, and if you are thinking of creating your bath bombs and sell them in large amounts, this can get a bit difficult. Now, we will paint a bath bomb train that we've made in the hard metal mold. A very common way of painting your bath bombs is by using alcohol mixed with mica. However, in this tutorial, we will learn a new way in which you can paint your bath bombs, and that is by using cocoa butter and mica. The cocoa butter will not activate the bath bomb, so we have here a chunk of raw cocoa butter, which we will cut a small piece from and melt it over low heat. You can either use a hot air gun or simply put the half mold, or what is it that you are using, on the stove at a low heat. After the cocoa butter is melted, allow it to cool down a bit. Meanwhile, prepare the colors you are going to use. Since this is a train in shape, we will bring the coal design to life using brown, and so we will add a small amount of brown mica. Now, using a pipette, we will add a small amount of melted cocoa butter, depending on how liquid you want the paint to be. Now that our paint is ready, we will pick a brush with soft bristles and slowly start painting the coal on the train. As you can see, the cocoa butter, not only it will not activate the bath bomb, but it will also leave the nice, shiny effect on the surface. We will repeat the same process again, using a green mica, and paint the top of the train. As you can see, the cocoa butter is now touch dry. The cocoa butter will dry very fast. Now we will apply a red on the sides. And there we have it. We have painted our bath bomb with 3 different colors. Another way of decorating your bath bombs is by binding them. This process can come in handy if you are trying to make a bath bomb that otherwise would be impossible to unmold. Binding should be used for decorative elements, and not be used for heavy parts as it can break the bond. So let's see the process of binding bath bombs. We will start with the usual 100 grams of sodium bicarbonate and 50 grams of citric acid. We will use this plastic Play-Doh mold to make our bath bombs. This is a hard plastic, but the same process applies. We will let the bath bomb mix harden, after which we will slowly apply pressure to let the air in and push the bath bomb out. We will add a few drops of blue liquid colorant, followed by a little drop of our wet mix. Give the mix a good stir and add it on one side of our hard plastic mold. Don't be afraid to push hard onto the mold. This is hard plastic, so it will not distort. The shape of the bath bomb will not be affected. Now with a bit of yellow liquid colorant, the mix will become green, and we will fill the other side of the mold. We will leave the two to harden for approx 2 hours, after which we will unmold and bind them together. Now it is time to unmold. Apply pressure on the back and push down and allow the air in. These can be very difficult to take out, so arm yourself with a lot of patience if you are using hard plastic molds. There we go. We now have our bath bombs, and we will start the process of binding. Make a regular bath bomb mix of 2-to-1 ratio. Add a little bit of wet mix and liquid colorant or powder colorant. In our case, blue and red to make purple. For our sticky agent, we will add half a tablespoon of polysorbate 80. This is the consistency that we are trying to achieve, a crumbly and sticky texture. If it is too dry, add more binding agent such as witch hazel. Add a little bit on the surface of bath bomb 1, gently pressing down. Add bath bomb no 2 on top, and very gently compress the two together. Don't press too hard, otherwise they will break. And now, work the mix inside, gently applying pressure on the sides. There we have it. As you can see, the two sides are glued together and the sticky mix we've made holds them very well. Sugar crafts and similar items can be applied in the same way through the binding process, or simply attached to a pool of melt and pour inside the bath bomb. Sugar craft molds can also be used with melt and pour to create the decorations. The advantage that decorations made in this way have is that the soap will dissolve inside the water, while other elements will not and are purely for decorative purposes. Let's decorate a bath bomb with other objects, such as a toy. However, the same process applies for sugarcraft objects. Now we have here a regular bath bomb, with the top transformed into a pool. We will look at making these in the pooling video. We will start by adding a few decorative elements at the bottom of the pool. Now we will melt a little white melt and pour it in. The melt and pour has to have a high viscosity with a low temperature. We will add this little guy straight into the pool. After which we will sprinkle some more of these star decorative elements on top. And there we have it. We can use a lot of objects to decorate bath bombs, including toys and any other funny shaped mini objects. Pooling your bath bombs involves having a deep semicircle on top of the bath bombs, which is usually filled with various decorations. The pool can be created with a small metal mold attached inside the bigger standard mold. High viscosity. Melt and pour can be poured inside, and it will not activate the bath bomb. Now let's see how we can create a pool on top of our bath bomb. We have here an essential oil bottle cap. You can use any type of bottle cap you would like, depending on your preference. Now, we will grab our 6.5 centimeters standard mold and we will glue it right in the middle using a glue gun. While using a glue gun, add hot glue on the rim or on the sides of the cap all around. You will need to move fast and strongly push it down inside the top of the mold. Leave the glue to get hard for about 10 minutes. Now let's look at making a pool on top of a bath bomb and use it for decoration purposes. We will start with our usual 100 grams of sodium bicarbonate and 50 grams of citric acid. Give the dry mix the usual good stir, breaking any crumbs you may find. Add 1 tablespoon of wet mix, followed by a few drops of red liquid colorant. Mix the color in well. Our consistency is just right to make a firm textured bath bomb. Now we will add this little in here as a surprise, and we know from the previous video how the bath bomb will turn out. And voila! Now let's look at another type of decoration using the pool. We have here a bath bomb, in which we will add melt and pour decorations, and simulate a small garden on top. Here we have a hardened brown bath bomb, made with brown mica, polysorbate 80, and added confetti. The idea behind this was to make it look like soil, with a bit of shine. Now we will crumble the brown bath bomb inside the pool. We want it to look somewhat similar to ground. Now we will bring these little green guys. These are melt and pour decorations made with sugarcraft molds. White base melt and pour with yellow and blue liquid colorant. We will now layer the green leaves inside the pool. Now, we will add a tiny little bit of water to make a bond inside the pool. Now, we will allow this to harden and drop it straight into the water for a test. Frosting can be created for bath bombs using melt and pour. It involves mixing bath butter and white melt and pour together with a mixer in order to insert air and create a silky, smooth, thick texture, which then can be used to either create cupcake-style bath bombs, attach them to the bath bomb, or fill a pool on top. To do soap frosting, you first need a hand blender. Start by adding 50 grams of foaming bath butter, 25 grams of unrefined coconut oil, and 20 grams of white melt and pour. Put all the ingredients together in a bowl and slowly start melting them using a double boiling method at a low heat. Try not to let the ingredients melt completely. Take them off the heat and start blending the small chunks once you have some liquid to work it. Keep blending the mixture. You will soon discover that as you keep doing it, it will start becoming thicker and thicker. At this stage, if you would like to modify the consistency, you can continue to add more coconut oil and bath butter to make it more liquid. However, I will keep my consistency at this level. Nothing mandatory, just preference. Once the frosting is done, you can see the consistency is similar to a cream. Now we can grab a piping bag and add the frosting in. Now that our frosting is ready, I will take a regular bath bomb I made earlier and add it on top. I am using quite a big piping bag for a small quantity, so air got trapped inside the bag. I am going to layer a good amount and then fluff the frosting using a spatula, giving it a nice spiky feel. Once I am happy with the fluff, I will sprinkle some green tea powder colorant we used earlier and a tiny speck of bath bomb dust. Now I am going to take a small block of purple soap and melt it. Once that is done, I will slowly pour it on the top, giving our bath bomb a nice overflow effect. We will now let the frosting to harden at room temperature. If you want faster results, you can put it in the fridge or someplace where a cooler temperature is present. Now that our frosting is hard, it can be easily packaged and stored. Besides frosting, melt and pour can also be used on its own to decorate bath bombs. We can polish our bath bombs using many tools. Some tools you may find useful are blunt blades, plastic bath bomb molds for round bath bombs, and even fine or coarse sandpaper for different models. Blunt blades are perfect for removing the rim. Reactivating bath bombs. So let's give life to a bath bomb from multiple hardened dry mixes and failures. And let's name this a Frankenstein-style bath bomb. As you can see, these are pretty dry, and normally we would turn these into a bag of colored powder. Rock hard, and stubborn bits that we can't crush them by hand, we will use scissors or any other tools to turn back to dust. Now we will only add our wet mix or binding agent. In this case, I will add 2 tablespoons of witch hazel. Begin the rehydration process and give the mix a good stir. Some of the hard bits that are in here have surfactant already, and we won't need to worry about buoyancy. We can try to break every little piece and turn it into dust. However, you will also blend the colors by doing so. I still want to keep the colors active and visible, so I will roughly pick the big parts and break them. Now we will bring our mold and begin making the bath bomb. We will do it in the same regular way, adding mix and gently pressing with our palms. Combine the two together and apply a good pressure to it. And there we have it, a Frankenstein-style bath bomb that also has a terrazzo feel to it. We will let it harden again and do a water test. Now we will unmold it and launch into water. This Frankenstein bath bomb is made from so many different mixes that will behave very strange. As you can see, it's getting its buoyancy from surfactants and its rotating power from the sodium bicarbonate and citric acid mix. Different types of bath bombs have different targets. A bath bomb will never be perfect and tick all the boxes. Slow fizzing bath bombs usually submerge upon contact and slowly release the colors and all the ingredients over a period of time while slowly rising to the surface. In general, these are used mainly in aromatherapy sessions, and they consist of one color or sometimes no color whatsoever. Other bath bombs, however, react more aggressively with water, and this involves air, which brings us to buoyancy. Buoyancy involves the tendency of a body to float or to rise when submerged in a fluid. In order to increase buoyancy and make our bath bombs float, the bath bomb has to be lighter in weight, which involves using less mixing material. When making a bath bomb and molding it, the right amount of pressure has to be applied. This, however, depends on everyone's power, as all of us can apply different levels of pressure when molding and the type of bath bomb. For example, it wouldn't be possible for a light bath bomb to withstand further processing, such as sculpting, frosting, or polishing. It would simply turn into dust. Surfactants also help buoyancy. Surfactants release a lot of air bubbles and make a substantial amount of foam. This helps the bath bomb stay on the surface of the water. A light bath bomb will also use the fizzing effect to propel itself. However, the effect will not last long as there isn't enough mix, so having a surfactant mixed in, such as sodium lauryl sulfate, can extend the effect. This brought us to the end of this course. I hope you've enjoyed the series of videos just as much as I've enjoyed making them, and that this will give you an edge in competition, and it will take your knowledge further. Thank you for watching, and please remember to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you've enjoyed it. See you next time.